Hi everyone, I'm here with 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓 today. I came across 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓 in one of the cancer groups on Facebook. I was really impressed with her post, not only about her story, but how positive she was, giving everyone hope and light when everybody is going through that really tough time. So hi 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓, how are you?
Hi.
Thank you
Hello.
so
No, you're
thank you
welcome.
so much for doing this with me. So just wanted to really ask you, what cancer did you have and how old you were when you were diagnosed?
I was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin's lymphoma when I was 31 years old. And it happened after my intestines ruptured. So
Wow.
that's how they found a cancer in my large intestine.
Right.
And then when they were doing the surgery, and then when I was in ICU in recovery, my liver grew enlarged. It was making my heart work double time.
Yeah.
And that's when they found out that I had non-Hodgkin's stage 4 lymphoma in the
Wow.
liver. Yeah.
So if it wasn't for that, obviously emergency surgery with your
Yeah.
intestine, there
I
wouldn't.
don't know if I would have known or that I had cancer or whatnot, or if they would have found it like that in time.
Yeah, yeah.
Because when I was in recovery, they started me on chemo immediately
Wow.
to shrink the liver because it was really enlarged,
Mm-hmm.
and to shrink it, and then to fight the cancer.
So what happened just previous to your intestine rupture? Like, well, how were you feeling? And yeah, what led to that happen?
When I was 26 years old in 2011, I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis.
Okay.
That is like a disease. Let me see. Hold on. It infects your intestines. That disease. It's like an invisible illness.
And then if triggers, if you eat particular things, you just get inflammation and you get a lot of pain, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. In the digestive tract. So I was 26 years old when I was diagnosed with that. I had to do a lot of blood transfusions. I had
Also,
to take
you're actually bleeding from it.
Yes, I lost a lot of blood
Wow.
before I ended up in the hospital, and the doctors were trying to find out what it was. They did, and then they started me, on blood transfusions, prednisone to help. And basically, I lived with it until I was 31 years old, and that's I was doing well with it, taking medication, going to my GI doctor.
Yeah.
What do you call it? Doing colonoscopy,
Okay.
getting that done so they can check for lymph nodes in my colon, and they did find a lot, back then, and so
They did find polyps, or
yes,
just still
polyps sometimes,
polyps.
yes, they did polyps, and so basically I was living with that for that many years, and I moved to Tampa, Florida, in 2015, and since I got a new doctor, a GI doctor, whatever, not whatever, but a new GI doctor, and my health after my 31st birthday in February 2016, my health just went downhill. I was losing weight without doing anything. I couldn't digest my food. Everything I ate, I just vomited it right back out.
Wow.
And I was in and out of the hospital for February up until the time that my intestines ruptured, which was October 2016. And it was like in and out, and we didn't know what was going on. And the last time that I ended up in the hospital before my intestines ruptured, I could barely walk.
Wow.
It got that bad. I lost I could barely walk. And one of the lady that we saw, she was like, "You got to take her to the ER because she's not, doing too good."
Yeah.
So they did, and that's when I was in the hospital, and I was I had to go to the bathroom. So I went, and I was trying to, push whatever out. But then that's when I had cramping, the worst cramping.
Cramping ever.
And I was in so much pain, and I had to press the call button because I never usually press the call button to get back into the hospital bed. but I had to. And the nurses came in and they were like, what's going on? And I couldn't like function. And I was like, I was in so much pain. And I told them, it's my stomach, there's something wrong, it's not right. So they put me, in the hospital bed, and I just, they gave me meds, and I was doing like, not okay, because it was like getting bad. And so I'm just there, just laying in the bed, just, and I'm feeling bad. My mom, she had gone to work because she was always with me when I was in the hospital. And she had gone to work, and something told her to go back, to not go to work. And I think it was like, God telling her, don't go back, go to the hospital because your daughter's not, doing well. So she went, she saw, the surgeon, she saw nurses like she called the nurse saying, is my daughter okay? And then he was like, well, if you are her mother, you have to come here.
Wow.
Because she's not okay. So she did, she came, and she said to me, because I didn't know this at the time, but she told me that I was already bloated. I was already bloating. I was already turning cold. And she just started like crying and like, getting, upset, and she was like, so the surgeon, came in the room, and he was like, we have to get her to the ER, the emergency room, because it's she's septic. The intestines are ruptured. So all I remember, I was laying in bed, and I remember telling God, if it's my time, it's my time. If not, then, I'll see what happens,
you were
so
in that much pain, like you were
I was in that much pain, and that's my first thought. It was like, Lord, if it's my time, then, take me, I'm ready. But if not, use me for, your purpose. So, they took me to the ER. I remember all I remember was them taking me to the ER, and then the doctor saying if it gets to my heart, I was a goner. So they got me to the ER, they did the surgery, and I read my files that I had to be resuscitated twice during that surgery.
So did they know that was already your intestine because they did a CT scan, or did they know at the time, or they were just going to open you up without even knowing?
I don't remember if I did a CT scan like before. They just knew something was wrong.
They needed to open you up, yeah.
Yeah, they needed to do the emergency surgery to create my 𝗕𝗢𝗓𝗓𝗓 bag because that's the only thing that was going to save my life. So they did, and I just remember waking up in the recovery room in ICU, and my brother was there at the time. My mom, she went to hysterics, so she went, home. She couldn't take it. So I just saw my brother when I woke up, and I couldn't talk at the time because of the trauma of the surgery. I couldn't talk, so I just looked at my brother, and then I'm like, and then I looked at the bag. This is it right here.
All right.
I looked at that, and then I'm like, and I was kind of like relieved because I didn't have to deal with ulcerative colitis anymore. Like it was like, I was not in any more pain.
Yeah.
And
so they literally took all your large intestine.
They took my large intestine. They took my large intestine out because that was bad, and it had cancer, in it. And they used my small intestine to create the 𝗕𝗢𝗓𝗓𝗓𝗓. So that's what they did.
And then on that, so that was did they cut you from like under the breast to the or did they just cut?
The scar goes from here
to
here, that's the scar. And there was a lot of problems with the bag in the hospital. I was in the hospital for 5 months in recovery. 5 months, and then, so after I woke up and I saw the bag, and then I was just trying to just recover. And then when I found out about my cancer diagnosis, I didn't know at that time when I woke up, because it wasn't it didn't happen then. Except for the the large intestine thing, but it hadn't spread to the liver yet. So I was in ICU, and I guess my heart, my liver grew enlarged, and it was making my heart go over time. And the doctors were like, what's going on with it? They thought it was water in my body or something that was, messing me up. So they were going to take me to an MRI to get a test done to see what was going on. But,
and this was quite straight after the the surgery when you woke up and you spent?
Yes, this is when I was in ICU, and I was in the ICU just like, you know, in bed, you know, recovering. My hair was falling out in clumps. I couldn't talk. I had like family members meet me and see me and whatnot. And there was a lot of people that, you know, were praying for me all over the world, my family, because once my mom, you know, my aunt told, you know, what was going on with me. And when my liver grew enlarged, a lot of people started praying because it was like, what's going on? They wanted, you know, to pray to see, you know, what was going on and if I can live.
So when they opened you up, they didn't see that your liver was enlarged because it wasn't enlarged.
No, it was, like I said, I think it was probably normal. I think it was like normal. It was only the large intestine that they saw, you know, cancer. So when I was in recovery for I don't know how many days, everything was like, you know, fine, I guess, until my heart was just going, you know, getting erratic.
Yeah.
And then they were like, we got to do a test. So before they did that, though, they were going to do like a surgery on me or something to take the water out that they thought was there.
Yeah.
But there was a doctor that he was a cancer doctor, an oncologist, and he said, you know what? Let's like double check and see, you know, it could be cancer. It could be, you know, like something like that. So they checked that instead, and they found that it was the liver, you know, near my heart, and it was like, you know, making it work overtime. And they were like, okay. So what I'm not sure what they did, but I know they shrunk it, the liver, and then they started me on chemo. But my mom did not want to tell me that I had cancer because she thought that I was gonna like either give up hope or just be like, you know, whatever. But so I remember she was on the phone talking with my aunts and she was crying. So I'm over here thinking, okay, what's going on? I thought I'm okay, you know. I beat, you know, ulcerative colitis. I got, you know, this iliopathy bed. It's supposed, you know, I thought I was saved. So I thought in my head, what could it be? What could be worse than, you know, this? And I said, it's cancer. Cancer. So I just thought that. And then my mom, she got off the phone with my aunts, and I said, Mom, I was like, well, I couldn't talk at the time, so I had to like write it down. I was like, Mom, do I have, you know, cancer? And she was like, could I wrote down like, what is it? What's wrong? And then I said, it's cancer, isn't it? And she was like, you know, like, oh, like that face, like, how do you know? And I'm like, yeah. And then I just thought in my head that this was another battle I had to fight, and that I was, you know, gonna fight it, and as long as I could. So yeah.
Wow. So during that whole 5 months that you stayed in hospital, so you had the chemo then?
Yes, they started me on chemo after they shrunk the liver, and they started me on chemo. And that was, you know, kind of tough. At first, like, I couldn't like, I had so many things that had to be like fixed because I had bile coming out that they had to clean out of my body. It was like so much, and then having to do the chemo. My mom, I had to shave my hair because, like I said, it was coming out in clumps, and so my mom was like, "Okay, we're gonna have to shave it off." So I was like, "Okay." Yeah. So I was like, "Okay."
And when did you start talking again?
That took a long while. So I was in ICU for 4 months, no talking. I couldn't talk, nothing, and then they put me in a floor for cancer patients. And at that time, that was like in 2017, I was able to like talk.
Wow.
Like, yeah. But it took a long time because it was so much trauma that, you know, that happened down there.
Yeah. Wow. And, you know, why, when you mentioned that you kind of, when you heard your mom talking to your auntie and you kind of had that feeling that, you know, you had cancer, why do you think you had that? I mean,
I don't know. It's because I was thinking what could be worse than any other, you know, disease. And I was thinking it's cancer. It has cancer, but I didn't know which one I had. The doctor came in and told me that later. And so I had to ask my mom. She told me, it's like, I didn't want to tell you yet until, you know, you were ready because you just got out of you know, this other surgery, and I just wanted you to recover. And I was like, Mom, it's gonna, you know, I wrote, Mom, it's gonna be okay, you know, it's gonna be okay.
Wow.
So yeah, I just had the thought just popped up in my head. It just popped up.
And what were you having treatment every week, every 2 weeks, or do you even remember? Like, what was the, you know, the kind of the plan? Was that to have treatment for X amount of chemotherapies, or?
Yeah, X amount of time. I think he said, the oncologist said about 8 chemo treatments, I think it was. And then when I was in the hospital, I was doing, I think I did 5. 5 chemo treatments, and then the rest I did as an outpatient.
Okay. So you came home after 5 months?
Yeah, after my 32nd birthday, I celebrated that in the hospital. I was, after that, they sent me home. I had to like go home with a walker.
Wow.
I had to use a shower chair because I had to do physical therapy also in the hospital,
Yeah,
because
I can imagine.
I was bloated from the surgery, because they had to bloat, the person, I guess, the person up when they're doing surgery. So I was very bloated.
Yeah.
So it took me a while to get my mobility back. I used that for a while. And then what else? I don't know. It's like so much that happened, and I'm trying to remember.
And what do you think it kept you going, like on those 5 months in hospital?
My family, my mom especially, my brothers. A lot of people visited me, and they tried to make my stay, bearable. I celebrated like Christmas in the hospital. At the time, I couldn't talk, so my mom would give me like a nativity set, gifts. And she knew I liked Captain America, so she got me like Captain America stuff.
Yeah.
So it made, my aunt got me coloring books.
Yeah.
At the time, I couldn't do it though on my own, so she got it mostly for the visitors, so that it can kill time. But at the time, my hands were so weak, I couldn't like lift up anything. Yeah, so I couldn't like do the coloring yet at the time, but the visitors could, so.
So you really had to, on top of recovering from being in ICU, recovering with all your mobility, the whole body, the speech and everything, you had to recover from chemotherapy on top of that too.
Yes, and I also had like breathing problems too. That's why I was in the ICU for that long, because I wasn't like breathing properly like on my own. So sometimes I had to do like the breathing test techniques and whatnot.
Yeah.
So like going until they moved me out of ICU, because it took a long time to get out of there.
Wow. And in ICU, you were obviously in a room by yourself, and then when you go into when you went to the cancer ward,
I was by myself too.
By yourself too. Okay, but
yeah, I was by myself then too.
Okay, yeah. So that's tough.
But
like
before that, when I was dealing with ulcerative colitis, I did have to share a room. When I was in and out of the hospital before my intestinal, I did have to share, a room, but not the ICU or the cancer ward. No.
Or the cancer ward. Wow. Yeah, it's tough being in one room by yourself for all the time. I mean, did they have like lots of things, like the physio would come, and do you have lots of things going on like during the day to help you physically get back to?
I had the TV, I had books, the coloring books. I think I could color like a little bit when I was like in the cancer ward. My hands were getting like a little bit. I was able to color. To spend time, with my mom playing like cards. I had visitors. I had people visiting me, and
so with the chemo, when you start having chemo, did you even, because you were obviously feeling so rough already, did you even like, was it really rough to get the chemotherapy, or did you feel like the side effects of it? And
I had some, like, it was hard at first. Yes, I was very like nauseous.
Yeah.
And all I remember is the nauseousness. I don't remember like being in like any pain, because I was already like, had so many other stuff that happened. So I just remember the nauseousness when I started the chemo. As an outpatient, my oncologist, he would want me to do the chemo in the hospital. So like in 2017 when I left, I would end up back in the hospital, but only like stay for like 4 days doing the chemo treatment.
Okay.
They would give me like a pill to like help with the nauseousness.
Yeah.
It helped. But the only side effects I remember having was that it made me sleep for like 4 days. I could not function when I got back home. I would have to sleep for 4 days, and then by the 4th or like 5th day, I was like myself again. Yeah. And I was able to like, do things.
So there was after that, like after you did all your treatment, that said, like, are you still on medication, or that was it?
Yes. The reason why I'm still on medications is because I had a mini stroke in 2018. This is before. This is after the tumor episode. Because the tumor episode that happened when I was doing the chemo treatment from like February, when I was out as an outpatient. That's like February, March, April, May. I thought I was doing well. And this is in 2017. But in June, I started talking gibberish in front of my nieces and nephew and my mom. And she was like, what's wrong? What are you trying to say? And I'm like, well, I just said it. And she's like, no, you're talking gibberish. So then she's like, you got to go to the ER. So I went, and that's when they found that there was a tumor in my brain. And they shrunk it at that time with prednisone through the IV, and it had shrunk. And I guess they thought it was okay to send me home. So they did. I went home at the end of June, beginning of July. And I remember celebrating the 4th of July with my mom. And then a couple of days later, after July 7th, I had a seizure.
Oh, wow.
And thank God that my mom, stayed at home from work that day, because if I was home alone, I don't know, because it's only me and her in our apartment. So I wouldn't know have known what to, because basically what that seizure did was it made me lose my mobility.
Wow.
I wouldn't have been able to do whatever. And that morning, I just remember waking up, making me breakfast. I was gonna put on a DVD, and then my mom was like laying in bed, and she's thinking, should I go to work? Should I not go to work? And then something told her, don't. So she came to the family room with me, and I was trying to play the remote, but I couldn't do it. And she's like, what's wrong? What's wrong? You should know this. You used the remote a lot. And I was like, I don't know, Mom. I don't know. And so she's like, we got to go to the ER. And then that's when I knew something was wrong, because when I got up, I couldn't even put my clothes on. I couldn't walk. So she had to help me, do everything, get to the car. And then all I remember was just waking up in ICU.
Why?
That's it. And then I looked at my mom in ICU, and I was like, Mom, weren't we supposed to go to the ER? And she's like, she was like, look at your surroundings. I was like, oh, I'm in ICU again. Because I recognized,
exactly.
the stuff. And I'm like, oh, and I was like, what happened? She told me that I went to the ER, and they had to put me in a wheelchair immediately because I couldn't walk, couldn't do nothing. And basically the tumor was already affecting my brain, my motor skills, everything. And when they put me in the room, the nurse was asking me, what is your name? Or how old are you? When's your birthday? And I kept saying, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. And then they saw she put some stuff on the instruments And she was checking my vitals, and she saw that it was already messing with my with everything. So they were gonna take me to do an MRI, and that's when I started convulsing. They got me out of the MRI into a room in the ER, and they were trying to get me stable. And my mom said that I was just shaking in the bed. And she was hugging a nurse because she was getting emotional, crying, and seeing me like that.
Yeah.
Basically, they were able to get me stable, get with the IV on me and all that stuff. And I just remember waking up in the ICU. Then I was like.
So did they take the tumor out?
So after that episode, that happened on July 7th, 2017.
Yeah.
So then they did surgery July 10th, 2017 to get the tumor out. And also I have a port on my head. I have 2 ports, one here for the liver cancer, and this is for just in case cancer goes back to my brain. So they did that. So they did take the tumor out, and thankfully it was benign. There was no cancer cell, cancer on it and whatever. So I was fine after the surgery. I was in ICU again, but I was doing as well as to be expected.
Yeah. And how long did that take you to recover from that surgery?
That took me a while, because I was there all the way to all July. Because I had they started me on a new chemo treatment, a stronger one. I don't remember what it was, and I remember I ended up getting thrush. So I had to stay in the hospital.
So why did they start you on a chemo if your tumor was benign?
They started it just to make sure, I guess, that it didn't spread anywhere else in my body. I think it was for my liver cancer, but it was just to make sure. I don't know, because the doctor just wanted me started on a stronger one.
Yeah.
And that one, it kind of hit me hard, but not as bad. It wasn't as bad, but it did hit me it was different.
Yeah.
And it caused me to have thrush. and it was hard to like eat, hard to like swallow,
Yeah.
difficult to talk. But yeah, I was in the hospital for the rest of July after that episode, and I didn't
So
come back home.
How is your, so do you have any cancer in your liver still or no? No, it's finished. Okay.
And so after that episode with the tumor, I ended up back in the hospital twice. Once was for a mini stroke.
Yeah.
I had a mini stroke that happened to me in April 2018. And the funny thing is, everything that happens to me, I was not alone. I was at a party at my aunt's house, and we bought a dog, and we had brought the dog over to my aunt's house, and my niece and my cousin were holding the dog, and I just remember talking to them about my dog, and all of a sudden I saw like these words appear in my vision and all stuff, and I'm like looking like, is anyone else seeing this? You know, and I'm like, what is this? And I was like, and I went to my mom. I turned to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, you know, something, you know, it's not right. I'm seeing like, you know, these words and stuff like that. And my brother was there, and my older brother, and he said, Mom, I think she's having a mini stroke. I think she's having like a TIA. We had to call an ambulance. So they did, and this is in Orlando, Florida. So I wasn't even near home. So we couldn't go to like the hospital that knows my history.
Exactly, a history.
Yeah. So we had to go to another hospital, and they were very good.
Yeah.
They helped me out. I was there for like a couple of days with my mom, and also my mom. She slept with me in the hospital from the time that I had my my 𝗕𝗢𝗢𝗓 surgery.
Yeah.
To you know, every time like I was in the hospital, she was with me.
Wow.
Sleeping with me, you know, and even like when she had to go to work the next day. You know.
Wow.
So yeah, she's like the best.
She's amazing.
So she was with me in that, you know, episode, and thankfully that didn't like mess up with my, you know, motor skills, or anything. It did kind of like mess up my heart a little bit. That's why the pills you asked, I'm taking like 3 pills. One is for like the heart, and so I'm taking 3 meds. One's for the heart, one is for like blood thinners.
Okay.
And I forgot what the other one was.
You don't have any more stroke, obviously. Yeah, the blood.
No, I haven't had no more episodes after that. And then the last time I was in the hospital was May 2018 when a cyst burst near my ovaries. Now that one, they saw that there was a cyst near my ovaries when they did, I'm not sure which surgery, but they saw it, but they didn't do nothing about it until, I guess they got to wait until it burst or something.
Yeah. Oh.
So that day, I remember I was home and I had like cramping pain again. And at first they thought it was
again.
Yeah, the cramping pain. And I had to go to the ER, and I'm like, Mom, you know, something's not right. So that's when they found that the cyst burst near my ovaries. I have to do like tests to keep an eye on that, make sure that doesn't get, you know, cancer.
So they did an emergency surgery on that, or no? They just the cyst burst?
They were thinking of doing something. But they saw that nothing had to be done.
Yeah. Okay.
So they never did anything with that.
Right.
But also there's something wrong with my gallbladder too. That when I was in ICU from the first surgery in 2016, they saw that my gallbladder. So they thought it was that at first, because they were like they thought it was a gallbladder that burst, but then they were like, no, it's not that. So then they found out it was a cyst in my ovaries. So yeah.
Wow.
That was the last time I was in the hospital.
Yeah. You've been through so much. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how much our bodies can take and go through it. So what's life like now for you? So it's been a year and a half. Yes.
Yeah, it's much better. I'm able to you know, do things. I go walking every morning, 7 in the morning, every day. I've been doing that since Christmas last year. Awesome. I'm trying to keep, you know, healthy. You know, walking. But I'm doing so much better. My hair started growing back. September 2017. Like, you know, little by little, it started growing back. Now it's like this length.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah.
It's that length. Sometimes I don't know what to do with it, but it's okay.
I kind of enjoy, because I shaved my hair in 2018 July, because I had the same thing. There were falling clumps, and I thought I'll
Yeah.
get rid of it. And I have
Yeah.
actually quite enjoyed each stage of growing back. And
Oh yeah.
yes, because you obviously
It was
never
so like
do that.
weird because it started coming out little by little. I'm like, oh look, fuzz,
I know.
Yeah, I'm like, look. And then it just started growing more, and I'm like, and then it got curly. I used to have straight hair, when I was
Yeah, I want to
born.
go to college.
Yeah. And now it's like curly. So I was like, Mom, because my mom has curly hair. So I was like, Mom, I got your hair now.
So what else? Have you changed anything in your life, like after what happened to you?
No, I kept it kind of same. I'm living with my, the ilinoscopy. It is difficult with the ilinoscopy sometimes because sometimes it causes like leaks, messes up my clothes and heats or whatever. If I'm sleeping, it's hard to sleep with this bag sometimes.
Yeah.
Because you have to keep an eye on it. You're like, okay, gotta keep an eye. But I've been better at it because my mom, she's like my champion because she helps me, put it on. I deal with the cleaning, the waste and, everything else, but she helps me with that, whatchamacallit. And this one time she did it in a hospital and the nurse came in and my mom was wearing like the gown, the gloves, and she got everything all prepped. So the nurse came in and she's like, oh, are you the ostomy nurse? No, I'm her mom. I'm her mom.
I love that.
You're so good at it, I was like, well, have practice,
You can get a job here,
Yeah.
And what has been the hardest thing in your journey, would you say? Like, what has been the hardest?
I don't remember anything being the hardest. I really don't. I've been like at peace with everything. Like even if with the tumor thing, I was kind of like, saying to myself, oh, here I thought, I was being a cancer and then this happened. But I've always been upbeat. I don't know. And
that's awesome.
I always posted pictures on my posts, with a smile on my face. My aunt would take pictures and I'm always like smiling. And people were like, so like, she's smiling and she's going through this. And I was like, but that's, to me, I just felt like I had to be, I was just that way, I guess.
Yeah.
I was never like, I did have like a time where I was like depressed, but it didn't take that long. I just got right back up and I was like, okay.
Awesome.
I got this.
Beautiful. And have you been able to find, like any positives in this whole experience?
Yes. After like everything happened, I've been telling my story. Like I joined I joined an ulcerative colitis support group when I was dealing with ulcerative colitis. Yeah. And then when this happened, then I joined again and then I told my story and I've been inspiring a lot of people in that group. I've been like setting motivational posts because I know how debilitating that disease is. Yeah. I've lived it. And so I post every day, motivational, or I post about my life, like what I'm doing or, and then stuff like that. And now just recently, I just joined the cancer support group. Yeah. And that's my story.
Yes, awesome.
So,
And you are indeed inspiring people there, definitely. Yeah. And if you were to meet somebody, right now that was diagnosed with stage 4 non-Hodgkin lymphoma, what would you say to that person?
Just don't give up. You can fight this. And even if it's like you're having a bad time with, chemo or radiation, whatever, just keep your smile going. I know, it's hard, but yeah, keep it going. And just fight. Don't give. You have hope. There's hope.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time, 𝗬𝗓𝗓. That's been absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm sure your story is going to inspire many. It's just amazing what you've been through and you're still smiling. That is just incredible. That is really awesome. And so thank you so much for your time.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for this interview because this is the first time I'm doing it like this. Usually I just write about my story, so this is like a great experience.
Awesome. So take care. See
You
you
too.
later.
Bye.